Hello, and how y'all doing? Today we're going to be taking a look at the figs behind us and doing something special to the top soil level of them, preparing them for next season. As you can see, I have a drip irrigation system set up for not only my main garden, I have one set up for just my figs. Now this system of tubes, half-inch tubes and smaller diameter quarter-inch tubes go to all of my plants, individual plants. Certain ones have different drip lines in them. Some of them have just single drip emitters, but all of them get a pretty consistent watering every single day. That being said, I do have some pretty aggressive growing trees in smaller containers. So what I do is I layer the top with either a chunky medium, and what that does is kind of preserve or help eliminate the trees from completely drying out in between waterings. This is effective when it's very hot out. I'm talking upper 80s, 90s, and above. It will preserve the moisture in here. However, being that it's cooler and starting to dip in temperatures, I don't really need it holding on to that much moisture. So what I'm going to do is remove all the bark from all of my trees. That way the sun could hit right at the soil and the root line, where all my surface feeding roots are, warm them up and allow them to keep transporting nutrients to figs that I want to try and ripen for this season. So that being said, when I take all these pine barks and this medium that's been kind of trapping some of that extra moisture into the soil, when I take that off to help them dry out, because cooler weather, more moisture, hot weather, evaporation, there's going to be a lot of roots exposed. So we want to protect those roots. I mean, your plant's growing, you want them to stay healthy, you want to optimize everything, especially these feeder roots at the surface. So I'm going to cover them with worm castings. That's going to be my first step, my first phase for preparing my fig trees for next year. So each container will have varying amounts depending on how well it held onto moisture, how much the canopy actually grew, or how much exposure it had. I've removed a fair amount of all the top dressing pine bark nuggets, and you can see we have some exposed roots here. So these sensitive little beautiful roots we want to protect. We're going to cover the entire top with the worm castings. Usually, depending on the size of the tree, the size of the pot, I usually put at least a cup per my 5-gallon plus. My bigger pots, my 15 to 20 gallons, sometimes I'll put 2, even 3 cups of worm castings on top. These are the 2 worm casting products that I have from Wiggle Farm. One has worm egg material, one does not. Typically, I will use the one that does not in my containers. The other one can be used if you choose, or if you plan on putting a fig in the ground like the next season, then use that. This can be obtained from a local nursery. I highly encourage and support my local nurseries. But if you don't have one of those around, then Amazon has these for sale, and they're pretty decent price. So as you can see, I got most of the pine bark off the top. So I'm going to come in with my 1 scoop and just fill the 1 cup in the top and spread it around. So after I spread it and top coat it like that, that's it. That's all I do. You can mix it in a little bit on the top, but I just cover it to make sure all the exposed roots are covered. And then when my irrigation system kicks on again, it's just going to water it down. Now, doing this while we still have a little bit warm weather left will help kind of kick off that breaking down of the organic material. It's going to also give your beneficial microbes that you have in your soil a kickstart, and also get them just working throughout the winter. So even though the plant is asleep, all the living soil is going to continue on throughout the cool and winter seasons. Make sure you get as much of it off. It doesn't have to be every little piece. You know, it's pine bark, still organic material. So it's okay if there's a little bit left in there. But get as much as you can, and then get you your scoop, put your scoop in. That's 1 cup for this 7 gallon. And what I do is just gently spread it out over the top of the product. Make sure all those little exposed roots are covered. And you know what? If you think you need a little more, add a little bit more. It's okay. But adding a ton, I'm not going to coat this all the way up to the top of the rim here. That's unnecessary. If you want to do that, then by all means go for it. But just a little bit layer, a little bit at a time does a lot. So as you can see, a lot of the larger chunks, you know, when you pull those out of the way, you're going to have exposed roots. I'll throw another one right here. See? So all these little exposed roots right here, we're going to protect. We want those protected. Take your cup, pour it on top, and then just gently spread it around. So it's nice and evenly coated. And that's it. You don't really have to overthink this. This is a very simple, basic thing that we can all do. Okay, but what if you get to a pot and you clear out all the stuff, but you have an air layer that you're working on? This is probably the time to take the air layer, right? You see, this is the old growth. Under here is where we're going to be making the cut. This new shoot that came up is a very strong, vigorous part, so we don't want to disturb that. Over here, this air layer is what we're going to be taking. So let's go ahead and take it. Look at that. Straight through the plastic. These Felco 6s are, oh, this is the Felco 2. They are amazing. I love them. All right, we'll save that little project for later. But before we start, let's go ahead and protect this. Make sure that you have a nice clean cut. You see there's a little area right on the top of it. That could be a potential for maybe an infection, rot, anything. So what we're going to do is protect it. We're going to cover that up. And this is what we're going to use. So I take a small amount, place it right on the cutting, on the cut, and then just gently massage the entire surface. What you're doing is sealing this in. You want to protect your tree, and this stuff is what's usually used for bonsai. It's very good. It's a very good product. So I will come back to this. I'll let this dry up a little bit because I have a bunch more trees to take care of first. So now you have your first layer to prepping and setting up your plants for success for the next season, while you still have a little bit of summer left. This is an Angelito. I'm gonna go ahead and get 1 and 2 scoops, 2 cups in this one. I'll just go ahead and spread it out. Oh yeah, good stuff. So yeah, we may still be enjoying some figs ripening, but it's time to start thinking about setting your plants up for next year. Start getting that soil and the amendments in the top ready. Little goes a long way. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and as always, fig on.